We're talking about a license plate.
Yeah, a license plate.
Oh my God, we're talking about a license plate?
A license plate.
Welcome back to Registered America Podcast. Danette, welcome to the podcast. It sounds like you've got a story that you need to share.
Yes.
What are we talking about today?
We're talking about the situation or the journey me and my husband have been on since we've been together for 21 years. I mean, the black cloud that has followed him since he was 17 years old.
Right. Since he was 17. Let's
Yes.
jump to we're going to come back a little bit, but let's jump to the problem right now is what's your biggest challenge right now?
Okay, so my husband was arrested in May, and they said that it was for a failure to register. And we thought we had registered. We thought it was just a mix up. We had an officer come to the house 2 days prior and say that he was in compliance. They came here. They said where was my husband at? I said he was at work, but I could have him here in 15 minutes. I asked if there was a problem. They kind of questioned me, was he sick? And I'm like, no, we've just been really busy with work. So he gets here, and there was a tactical team. It wasn't just regular sheriffs, it was like 8 tactical officers for one person. So we knew something was wrong then because it wasn't like a normal check in. So they told him that he was arrested. There was no warrant, but he went with them willingly. He said, if I would have known, I would have turned myself in. We thought we had done it. The following day, I bailed him out. And by the end of the week, we own a lawn care company, and we had 4 big contracts that equaled, $232,000 a year. We had 4 employees plus my husband and our foreman, which is our son. And we found out that those parks that somebody had seen, that Hernando County had posted his mugshot. And a resident from the park took it to a manager and demanded that something be done. Now, we tried to contact the managers, but because he was arrested and I had to bail him out, the stipulation here in Hernando County is if a sex offender gets bailed out, they have to wear a tether, which means he could not leave the county. And all of our work was in Pasco County, Sumter County, Hillsborough County. And so he couldn't leave. So he couldn't even go speak to them face to face. But we were calling, texting, emailing. I even went up there, and they refused to see me. They sent me away. And come to find out, they fired us. He wasn't even
Yeah.
charged yet at
Wow.
that point. And
So,
he'd been with them
okay.
9 years.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
this is pretty interesting. A tether an ankle monitor?
Yes.
Yeah. So, uh boy, I don't know where to go next because I have several questions. You said, and I'm trying to follow this again. I have stated for anybody listening to Registered America podcast, I think that you understand that uh, we are trying to approach this from a civil, human understanding point of view, which is
Yes.
not easy to do. Meaning, like your husband's original charge goes back all the way to when he was 17.
1994. Yes.
Wow. And one would hope that a charge from 1994 when he was 17, 32 years later, there'd be some level of sanity. It is
You would
32
think.
years later. Yeah. So it's 32 years later, and you said that before the failure to register claim, a couple days prior, there were officers that that stated that he was compliant.
Yeah, so as a registered sex offender here in Florida, you go into your local sheriff's department twice a year, and then they do a spot check twice a year. And obviously, that is just when they decide. It just so happened that the officer came here on May 2nd, and I have it on the Ring camera. And we asked her to wait because we had gone out to dinner, and she waited for us. We gave her the driver's license. She said, "Okay, thank you. You're in compliance." We even joked with her about arresting the nosy neighbors because, everybody's tongue is wagging and everybody's looking because there's an officer parked outside the house. And then
Right.
2 days later,
And then 2 days later, a tactical team shows up
yes, two
to
days later,
arrest
a
him.
tactical team shows up.
How did legally, how does this make sense?
It doesn't. It makes zero sense. And the thing of it is like we told the officer, we only register twice a year. So when we had bought a new vehicle in February, the end of February, we had to register that, and then we had to register it again when we had the permanent plate. So in the midst of life, our son had been arrested for something totally unrelated. Our daughter had moved all the way to Merritt Island. I had 2 eye surgeries. We had just thought that, okay, we already went our second time this year. We don't have to go again. And we tried to explain this to the officers. They did not care. They had already made up their mind when they got here that he was going to be arrested. They didn't
Right.
care. He had told them, "Officer, I do not drink. I do not do drugs. I have my own business. I've been in no trouble. I have never forgot to register. I'm doing everything right. You can't just, give me a verbal warning. I will go register every month for the rest of the year." There was no listening. And so I, of course, started to cry. And he was like, "You know what? Just fine. Just take me to jail and let this get done." And I said, "Okay, so where do I go now? Where do I go to bail him out?" And the officer was rude. And he's like, "Oh, you can't bail him out. He's on a 30-day hold. This is a fifth-degree felony. He's looking at 5 years in prison." Third-degree felony, sorry. Third-degree felony, 5 years in prison. I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" We have had no mess ups since he was released. We've been together 21 years, and he's been out, I think, 22. Never any mess ups. Nothing. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that he had reformed himself, that he had changed his entire life. They went back and treated him worse than the day he was arrested for the original crime.
Yeah. Well, the failure to register claim is, I think that's actually for folks that are either on the registry or their family members. Nobody seems to be able to wrap their head around the legal standards of failure to register. And one of the other things that's I don't think the public understands, and I don't think they care. They can't. And the thing is, in this world, there's so many problems every day. People have run out of. Every time I see a GoFundMe page, I think, yeah, people have run out of patience of even GoFundMe pages. So
Yeah.
there's this inability to spread any further empathy to other people, which is why, as I do this podcast, it feels like a waste of time, but I do it anyways because we have to start talking about these things. But just going into even registering twice a year and then every other time you change a license plate or whatever it is, you feel like you're constantly registering, which
Yes.
again, I know nobody has empathy for, but it is already too many times to go to. I mean, and whether it's social media or a website or a phone number or an address, it is nonstop going down and giving new information because you can't do it by your phone. You have to go in
Nope.
person.
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And I don't know if they'll ever allow that, which would save because if the truth is that they just need the update, why can't you do it electronically?
I mean,
Right?
you're required to do everything else electronically, so why wouldn't this be allowed as well? But when he
Right.
was
And if the
convicted in
information's wrong,
94, there was no registry. And he said that, had he known this was going to be his fate, he would have never taken a plea because, I mean, it doesn't matter how good he does, it doesn't matter how much he's changed his life, how he helps. He still, there is no pound of flesh for this crime. It is constant. He went for a job when we first came to Florida, and the man told him, you know what, had you been convicted of murder, I would have hired you. But since it's a sex offense, I just can't do that.
no pound of flesh.
Yep.
That is exactly right. And what you just said about the plea deal, I literally said this a couple weeks ago on a previous recording. Plea deals, we assume that this is something, oh, okay, this is just something to deal with. And I don't know if you know, but apparently Chief Justice John Roberts at one point in the past said, oh, registering's no big deal. It's like getting a Costco card. I think he actually said that, which is completely incorrect. It's not even incorrect. That's a lie. That's a total lie.
Well, they
It's
say
not
here in
anything like getting signed. It is a death sentence.
Yes, they say here in Florida that the registry is not a punishment. It is a public service announcement. No, it is not a public service announcement. It is definitely a punishment because if it was a public service announcement and you forgot to do it, you wouldn't be looking at prison time. That's a punishment.
Also, I don't think anybody actually checks to see what you did. They just see registered sex offender.
Yes,
That's all,
absolutely.
right? They don't care what you did. That's why I stopped talking about circumstances because it doesn't even matter.
No, it doesn't matter. As long as they see that title, they have already convicted you. You're an animal, that you need to go into a wood chipper, one shot to the head. I know how to cure it. I mean, and the thing of it is people don't realize most of us could end up on that registry for doing something stupid. So he did the truck, and because he did not physically come into the sheriff's office in April, that is a failure to register. Even though they knew right where to find him, they had all of his phone numbers, cars, everything. It wasn't like they had to chase him down. Like I said, the cop was here on the 2nd and they arrested him by the 4th. How is that possible that you can, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is insane. And most of the time, it takes them a month, 2 months to figure it out. How on earth did they know within 4 days that, and then have a tactical team ready? This was insane. I mean, I never
Total. Yeah.
imagined anything like this.
Yeah. Well, and if the truck thing was in April, but officers came by in May and said he's compliant, how could they be wrong about that?
So it wasn't. The truck thing was in March. And
Okay,
so
truck,
we
but they
thought
came
that,
by in May, right?
yep, because he was supposed to register in April. And when the officer came here, it was May 2nd, and by May 4th, they had him on they had him arrested. And we thought that he had registered because we had done it in March, and we only do it twice a year. So, you know what I'm saying? It
Yes.
was literally just it wasn't it wasn't a deliberate, well, I'm not going to register because I feel like I don't have to do that anymore. We thought we had done it. We actually argued with the officer. The funny part was they asked Hector, do you have any documentation? Can you prove this? So he was walking to the car to show them. And as soon as he moved, Like 4 officers were like, "What are you doing? Where are you going? Are there any weapons in the car?" No, I'm trying to get the paper you're asking for.
Right. So if you're anybody listening, we're talking about paperwork for a truck. That's the inciting incident to this failure to register, not any actual claim of a crime or anything. We're talking about paperwork for a truck.
Yeah.
This is what's happened to the failure to register mindset, is that it would appear from the inside. Anybody on the outside can't understand how crazy this is. But on the inside, we know that every single paperwork change, it triggers this, and it doesn't happen right away.
No.
I talked to a guy that, yeah, there was a question, and then a year later they came by and did the follow up. So we're talking about paperwork for a truck. That's why he got arrested,
Yeah.
because the paperwork for a truck was wrong.
Yes. And
So
that's
they
the
said,
thing is, yes.
allegedly.
So 5 years. So, and then the funny part is we've hired a lawyer, and we hired a lawyer that specializes in sex crimes, because you wouldn't believe some of the lawyers don't even want to take on a sex crime case, even though it's a technicality. He didn't commit another crime. It's a technicality.
It's not a sex crime. Yeah,
No.
this most lawyers should be able to handle some kind of paperwork technicality. But I agree with,
And
and this is actually, I was talking to an attorney that was talking about that there are less attorneys able to take these incidents because it falls within sex crimes.
yes, yes. And
So
our prosecutor has been horrible. Like I said, all of our business was outside of our county. We lost our main contracts. We have a few small residential contracts, and we're trying to rebuild. The prosecutor wanted him to submit each address of each customer in which county and have each one approved. Each NA meeting, each AA meeting, what church we went to. She didn't want to just, and the judge was like, that's too much. He can go to these counties for work, that's it. He can go to church. Other than that, he cannot leave Hernando County. So then the prosecutor came to our lawyer and said, this is a prison case. He is supposed to go to prison for this. So I'm going to do him a favor by put him on community control for 2 years, which is basically like the house arrest or like what we're going through. So which means we can't go out to dinner, we can't go see our daughter in Merritt Island, we can't go to our sons in Hillsboro unless it's, for work. And we said no. We said absolutely not. We're going to fight this. And he doesn't want another felony on his case, on his record, especially when he didn't do anything.
yeah, that is the hardest part, is that this has nothing to do with a reoffense. By the way, one of the tricks here is that failure to register somehow counts as reoffending, but it's clearly not reoffending. But they try to make it seem that way. And by making failure to register so hard not to fall into, then it would seem that, well, the reoffense rate is high, which I think that's actually what this game is about. Because it is a game at this point.
Oh, yeah,
One of the other
absolutely.
things, like you said, they know where to find him. Why do you need every church and every customer if you already know how to find me?
And he's wearing an ankle monitor, so it's not like you can't tell where he's at every minute of the day.
It doesn't make any. The system, dear system, leave him alone. He's not reoffending. He's not committing sex crimes. You know where he is. Move on.
Yeah.
to an actual offender.
And if they want to say that this is not a punishment, then how are you going to explain our whole life being ripped apart at the seams? And how do they really think for 1 minute that we would just be like, you know what? After all these years, we're not going to register and take the chance of what has happened happening. We lost our biggest. Right now we're living hand to mouth. I had to borrow money from my grandmother for rent because we had these big contracts, and those big contracts took 6 days a week. The little contracts we had were just little, like $30 a month. We can't live on that. We had to fire 4 different men. Our son is still helping his dad, and they're trying to scrape by. But it didn't just hurt us, it hurt the people that we had employed.
Well,
And
yeah,
Hector hires people.
yeah,
Yeah.
the impact is way beyond him.
Yes. Yes.
And it's been going on for decades. And again, we don't even know. We don't know what happened when he was 17. He was 17. It was 32 years ago.
Yes. Yes.
Let's talk about Florida laws for a second. Does Florida not have a path to removal?
Okay. So here's the funny part. So he was convicted in Michigan. Okay. So we actually contacted a lawyer in Michigan who said that he could get us removed from the registry. Now, Florida said, just because you were released from Michigan, you will not be released from Florida. It is a lifetime sentence. This is something you will be required to do to the day you die if you live in Florida. Even though
Florida has no petition system.
No.
I've heard this. I think I already know the answer, but I wanted to hear it because Florida has no sex offender petition for removal, correct?
Correct, because again, they say it's not a punishment, it's a public service announcement.
Even though he wasn't registered, he was registered in Michigan, and when he moved to Florida, and this gets under the federal law of SORNA, etc., which also we know in the history of the United States, state and federal, they often conflict. This brings us to marijuana laws. We know that states are okay with marijuana now, many, but the federal system is not, and the conflict can't be resolved.
No. A lawyer in Michigan said he wouldn't even need us to come from Florida to Michigan to have us removed from the registry, because he said something about, it's called ex post facto clause, which means, I guess it's unconstitutional to make him register for life when the registry wasn't even a thing when he was convicted. But
one of the pitfalls. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Even if you're removed, let's say we moved from Michigan and he was already removed, he is required to tell Florida that he was at one time convicted of a sex crime, and he would have to register.
That's Florida state law?
Yep.
What, did an attorney advise you of that?
Yes, that's what our attorney told us, that even if, because we were going to pay a lawyer quite a bit of money to have him removed. And they said, I mean, that would be great, especially if you want to move back to Michigan, but it's not really going to do you any good here. Because we thought, okay, if we are removed in Michigan, then this should be null and void because there's no registry failure at all if he's not supposed to be on it. And they said no. Even if he was removed in Michigan because he had a prior sex crime, he is required to report it to the state of Florida, and then he would be required to register.
Has a lawyer, and I'm saying this because I've been told this, has a lawyer ever said move out of the state?
Yes. Yes.
right?
And then
And when
they
a lawyer
told us,
says that, what goes through your mind when you hear that?
honestly, we kind of were like, why did we end up moving here? Why did we do this? And we came because my grandparents are here and they were old and they needed help. But now, honestly, we are seriously thinking about, when this case is over, packing up and leaving.
Right.
I
And
mean,
and
it's not
and there's
worth
going to
it.
be people that are like, "Yay." But here's the thing, people. This will never end. As long as this law doesn't make sense, there will always be portions of the population. And here's the really bad news. Now, the younger generation, as Anne says, the registry's coming for your kids.
Yep. Yep.
It is. It absolutely is coming for your kids. And when we look around us at what's happening nationally with other cases and philosophies, wow, the registry's coming for your kids.
I mean, think about it. These kids, they're stupid. They're driven by hormones and they're sending stupid pictures. And then all of a sudden, somebody's arrested for child pornography and it wasn't even that. I mean, this stuff is ruining people's lives. It's not helping anybody. Who exactly are you keeping safe by this? Because I have seen nobody being saved by the registry. As far as I can see, it has done not one person a bit of good.
When they pick up somebody in an Amber Alert, which is it's usually a family member, but like a sex crime, it's almost never a registered sex offender.
Correct. As a matter of fact, there was an Amber Alert here yesterday. It's funny that you said that. And it was in a county, Marion County, which is just right next to us. And it was a 13-year-old girl. They knew who had kidnapped her, but Hector said, don't be surprised if they come and do a spot check because of the Amber Alert. And they have the right to come into my home anytime they want, no warrant, look at our electronics, go through our home, and do whatever they want. We have no protection. We have no civil rights, none. He can't vote, but yet he has to pay taxes. He's good enough to pay taxes, but he is not good enough to vote.
Yeah, the voting thing. I personally, I stopped. I didn't really like voting that much before, and now I don't care. If America doesn't want me, I don't want to. I don't want. Yeah,
exactly. That's how we feel. I don't vote either because of the same exact thing.
Good for you.
Exactly. And the politicians are more crooked than the guys on the registry.
Well, and it's going back to the person in the park, the Karen in the park that had nothing better to do.
Yeah.
That's who the politicians listen to.
Yes.
So it just continues to get worse. I've heard lobbyists talk about how it just takes one park Karen to get everybody running around coming up with terrible new laws.
Oh, absolutely. Just like every Halloween here in Florida, it's like huge scare tactics. Check your neighborhoods when you're going to take your kids trick or treat and see where the sex offenders are. They act like that people are going to just open up their door and steal their kids. It's not like that.
No.
And the registry says right on it, you cannot use this information to harm a person. Yet, the person that reported to the manager that they demanded that Hector be fired, isn't that damage? And it came from the registry, the picture on the registry.
He's a
if the registry is yes, go ahead.
And he was an ex-cop from New York that did it.
Well, I love it when pillars of the community get registered because it's proof that it can be anybody.
Yes.
Firefighters, cops, CIA, FBI, nurses, teachers. It's not like it's this identifiable, terrible segment because the registry casts such a wide net.
It
Um,
does. It doesn't discriminate. You know, white, black, brown, old, young. There is no discrimination. This is the only thing that crosses all boundaries: economic, spiritual, racial. This is it affects everybody. And people
what do you?
don't understand until it happens to somebody that they love. And then
It,
they're like, wait a second, this isn't fair.
yeah, it's the only way. It's that's why I think we're going to sign up millions of more people before we get to some kind of change. What do you think the purpose of the registry is?
Honestly, I feel like it's a further punishment. And I feel like they do it to put these guys back into jail for money. I mean, I know that Hector and I have to pay $360 a month for the ankle monitor. We had to pay $400 to put it on. Now, if we can't pay that, and mind you, we lost all of our big contracts, they will come here and rearrest him for a bond violation. So the amount of money that they get from doing this to people, it's insane.
I'm gonna clarify. What do you think? But see, I try to like the people with their finger on the wood chipper. What do you think they think the registry is for? Right, to stop tier 3 violent child rapists. Right.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's what they said. Like when his photo, and mind you, it said the year that he was arrested. It said that his age. It said all of this. So if you had any math skills at all, you could see. And it said offender. There were people on there talking about, he's a pedophile. He touched a kid, and it's not. That's always what people think. Even the prosecutor. Even the prosecutor did not take the time to investigate this. She asked our lawyer if the crime was against a child and if it was violent. That is your job to know. But yet you're
Yeah,
asking our lawyer
that's
to
right.
do your job.
And when we talk about this is the really hard part. But I think when we talk about child rape, aren't we talking about like young children? Isn't that
Yes.
what we're trying to stop?
Yes, babies. The little kids
Exactly.
that have
Babies, infants, and
nobody to
toddlers.
protect them. Yes, absolutely.
But CP of an underage OnlyFans model is not what we're talking about. Meaning, when kids in high school exchange nude photos and they call it child porn, that is a complete misapplication of the law.
Yes.
But
Yes.
that's what we're doing now. That's right. And that's why the registry's coming for your kids, because your kids are exchanging nudes and they don't think of it as child porn, but the law does.
I lost you, Jay. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to restate the question in that when
Okay.
kids in high school exchange nude photos and video, it's not even photos, it's video. Kids in high school, and I say kids because the thing is, this is actually part, I think, of what we haven't wrapped our heads around is that I say kids too, college kids, high school kids, but I don't mean high school toddlers.
No, no.
There are no high school toddlers, not that I know of.
No, not that I've ever seen. I mean, Doogie Howser, but that was fictional, and he even wasn't a toddler.
All right, lost you there for a second, but I think I got you back. I'll have to edit out a
Yeah.
couple silences. That's okay. Um, I think we kind of covered that as far as like it doesn't make any sense. And for
No.
people this makes sense to, there's nothing that can be said. Um,
Okay, okay, but like my husband and I talk about, right? So if you, when it comes to murder, how many different variations of murder is there in the law? But there is nothing, no degrees of separation to separate a sex offender from somebody that hurts a child. And that's why everybody assumes if you're on the registry, you've hurt a child, because the public does not know and they don't want them to know. They like the scare tactics.
which is why we're dealing with a fraudulent system.
Yes. Yes.
And what is really troubling, that's why I think of this kind of like the gay movement in the 80s, and I know that's an uncomfortable thing to say, but we're dealing with a group of people, a very large group, that feel threatened to just say anything at all. But this is a fraudulent system.
Yes. Yes.
And it's not just affecting the almost 1 million registrants, it's affecting millions of people. That includes registrants' families, and just the ability, it feels like a civil rights issue because you can't even exist anymore. And for what? Okay, I am back. I did lose you for a second there. That might have been me.
Okay.
So, what haven't we covered? What Tell me something else.
I think we've covered, pretty
Did
much
we?
it, the fact that it is destroyed, the business, it has destroyed relationships, it has destroyed everything that it took him, 21 years to build was knocked down in one swift move. It was like the rug was literally pulled out from underneath us, and there was absolutely no way we could prepare for it. I mean, who in a million years would think a technicality would blow up so catastrophic?
What's interesting is then, so you said 21 years, and I'm doing a little math here. He'd already done 10 years on the registry before
Yes.
the 21 started. You would think that's enough time served on a list of pain to get your life
Yes, he
back,
lost
right?
all of his 20s. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, other crimes, spending that much time in prison at such a young age, they come out institutionalized. They don't come out and have a wife and have kids and have a business and try to help. When we first came here and started our business in Pasco County, you don't deal with just the sheriffs, you have a detective. And you see that same detective every time. These detectives liked Hector so much that they would ask Hector, "Hey, can you help out one of my guys that just got out and give him a job?" The one detective had Hector do his lawn. So if he is so dangerous, why would the sex crime detective ask him to mow his personal lawn and recommend other people to work there so Hector can help keep them on the straight and narrow?
And I'm going to reply with, because the prosecutor doesn't know about any of that past, and they're just on a vendetta because that's what prosecutors often do.
Yes, absolutely. And she's a new prosecutor, so she wants to make her bones, and she's doing it on sex offender cases. They just had a sting in Hernando County. They arrested 13 people, all of them for some type of violation, not registering their address within 48 hours, not registering a internet domain, phone numbers, vehicles. And of course, they blew up like the three people. Two people had absconded, and one person had, something else. So they don't tell you about the other people that it was literally a technicality and they had not been doing anything wrong. They just want
Ex-
to focus on the couple that have done something wrong.
exactly. And I don't even know the name of the prosecutor, but I knew she was new because new prosecutors have the biggest axe to grind. Unfortunately, true. I'm so sorry for the
Yes, it
prosecutors
is.
out there, but that is actually true. And I know I've seen it firsthand. Also, the failure to register again comes back because it's the failure to register technicalities that
Yes.
the system relies on to pick up folks that are trying to rebuild their lives and accuse them of reoffending when it's just a technicality on paper. And I know, dear wood chippers, it's really hard to wrap your head around this technicality, but if you were to examine everybody's individual lives, my God, all the technicalities, the lying on the taxes, the speeding in traffic, and all the other lies throughout the week, throughout the day, at work, at church, etc. This technicality shit is totally unfair. It's a fraud.
Can you imagine if the people that were arrested for DUIs had to register? Can you imagine how that would go?
Well, I wonder if we're headed to that, though. I mean, that's the thing. That I know it's not fair to try to humanize the ICE situation because nobody wants that. And I know illegal immigration is its own problem. But we are going, I do believe that in the future decades, we're going to keep creating lists. And right now, I'll bet you DUI list is a bill approaching a House or Senate in one of our states. I don't know
Yeah.
what you need a DUI list for, but Park Karen will love it.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like you said. So the one thing that, Hector and I have said, when there is a global catastrophe, everybody can come together and do good. But on a normal day-to-day basis, there is so much hate. There is so much, there's no empathy. There's no anything. I mean, even some of the people that were, making the comments, they were supposedly Christians, and I believe in God. I go to church, so to me, that's offensive because that is not what a Christian is. I- we all deserve forgiveness. If you can tell me that you're perfect, then I won't say another word. But until you can say to me that you are perfect, that you have never done anything wrong, could you imagine what it would be like if somebody held a spotlight on your life? And that's what they do to the people in the registry. And it's unwarranted and it's not right. And nobody cares. People think it's deserved. People treat sex offenders as if they're less than human. And anybody could, we're all one bad decision away from, you know, doing something stupid that could end us up in prison and on the registry. I don't understand how people can be so callous and so, Hector calls them internet gangsters because you are brave enough to say all of this stuff on a computer screen, but yet during the day, you smile and act like a good, caring human, go to church on Sunday, and then go home and crack open your computer and talk about putting people in Old Sparky and feeding them to alligators and putting them in wood chippers. That is
Totally.
just disgusting human behavior for
It is
anybody.
it is disgusting. And maybe horrible social media comments will become its own list one day. It's possible.
Yes.
Which was not, we don't need that either. That's not good. I'll tell you, one of the things I think that blows my mind then is here we're talking about this, and we're going to open the newspaper tomorrow. There's no newspaper, but you know what I mean. And
Yes.
we're going to read a headline that talks about some dangerous white van sexual predator who's got 84 charges and walks out because the judge is woke. And when we see these headlines, I'm like, how is this even a headline? I see this stuff, and we're talking about, living hell because of truck paperwork.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Are these stories even real? Did I lose you?
Yeah, I lost you for a second.
Okay. I wonder, like, uh, again, I know the purpose of the registry was to stop dangerous predators from picking up kids in playgrounds. And I'm talking about young children, right?
Right.
We can agree on that.
Yes,
Nobody wants that,
absolutely.
right?
No, absolutely. That is not
Exactly.
what anybody wants.
Right. So why does the system why has it turned into this?
They spend so much time focusing on something like this, right? But it is okay for a genuine person that is a pedophile, that has a genuine attraction to young children, to sit outside of a playground and take pictures. That's completely legal. But
And
yet they've got people on a registry and it's ruining their lives. So tell me where the justice is in this.
do you think the person, so the pedophile taking photos at a playground, they're probably going to, I mean, I would assume that would get you picked up,
Oh, you would
right?
think, but oh no, because it's you can.
Probably because
If
they have
you're
political connections, right?
Well, no, it's completely legal to take photos in a public place. You can go anywhere and take a picture in a public place and nobody can do anything. It's completely legal. But you
Maybe this is
forget,
what Park Karen is worried about.
I mean, but the thing of it is so did the registry protect? Did the registry stop him from doing that? So obviously the registry is failing. It's not doing its job or
Okay.
its supposed job.
And that's really, there's a few pieces here. One piece is it sucks to have your life destroyed by something that happened so long ago. It's
Yes.
it's it makes life some well quite unbearable. Makes you
Yes.
wonder what's the point? What are we doing, right? But
Yeah.
the other one is that it's not saving young children. I don't see it saving any young children because if you're not registered, then the crime still happens. And if you are registered, you're so monitored. My God, I don't know of any registrants doing those crimes because, man, they got to go downtown every time they change anything.
Well, yes, and the thing of it is that people don't understand. Most people on the registry never re-offend. It is a very, very small percentage, but that's what you hear. You don't hear that 98% never re-offend. You hear about that small 1 to 2%, and it is just blasted everywhere and made like a big story. And then this is why people think, oh, well, the registry is a great thing. Look.
Yep. Well, the sex stings, but again, failure to register truck paperwork is not a reoffense.
No, absolutely
No.
not.
In fact, that's
And
not even a
now,
crime. It
no,
shouldn't
and
even be
not,
a crime. It's not a crime.
no, and now he is looking at a felony. And if I'm not mistaken, in Florida, if you get a 3-time felony, that's life. So what happens if there's another technicality that they see fit? They're going to throw him in jail for the rest of his life?
Truck
I
paperwork.
mean, yes, truck paperwork. It's insane. It
Wow.
doesn't
And,
even make
and
logical sense. I
no, it
cannot wrap
doesn't.
my brain around it.
I am actually having a hard time wrapping my brain around it, and we just started talking. I want to ask you, truck paperwork. What are we talking about? Vehicle registration paperwork?
So what it is I told you we have a lawn business and we
Yes.
have a bucket truck. So we
Oh, the bucket truck wasn't on the list.
oh no, it was. That was the thing. We put the
Oh, it
bucket truck
was.
on the list in February and then put the permanent plate in March. And so because we did it in March, we thought it was April and we didn't physically go back into the sheriff's department. And so it was a failure to register, even though we had been in there in March and been in there in February.
We're talking about a license plate.
Yeah, a license plate.
Oh my God, we're talking about a license plate?
A license plate.
Oh my
A
God.
license plate.
Wow. And now I know listen, that's why I don't understand people that work at the registration office, I don't understand how they, because I know they can't believe these things when they go home and they're in their private time. There's no way you can believe you're not saving lives by coming down on license plates. That's crazy.
The funny part about this is the day that I bailed him out and he got his ankle monitor, we obviously had to go and register the next day because he was just released from jail. So we went in and the woman was looking at the paperwork and what had happened, and she could not believe it. And she works for Hernando County Sheriff's, and she could not believe what was going on.
I believe that because that's the thing. You have people in the system who've been working there, they've been able to slog it out, and they can't wrap their head around what the prosecutor's saying. This is actually one of the problems. And I know that the state that I'm in, the highway patrol finally came around and said, you know what? This isn't working. The highway patrol. Now, the highway patrol has been traditionally in charge of the list or whatever.
Okay.
The point is that even the highway patrol said, no, this isn't working. You can't start locking people up for things like license plates.
No.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, and then if you do stick up for somebody that's on the registry, people, I mean, they treat you again like less than human. And 1994 to now 2026, the man goes to AA, NA, church, business, everything blown up over a technicality. And now they are treating him once again like garbage. The hilarious part was the company that we worked for. They had their lawyer. Like I said, they wouldn't even speak to us. So they had their lawyer deliver us the termination letter via email. And I called him because they were so not great. They actually left one of the parks out. The lawyer told me that he was under the impression that Hector had committed the crime.
There you go.
On May 4th.
Yeah, there we go. Exactly. Because logic tells somebody, well, he must have committed a sex crime.
Yes.
Because how could this all be happening if he didn't commit a sex crime? And the fact of the matter is, he did not, Your Honor. No. We're not here for a sex crime. We're here for a license plate.
Yes. Yes. And the company he worked for 9 years. And I asked them, so what I need to know, what reason are you terminating us? I need to know the exact reason. Because he's a danger to the community and for the optics. Mind you, he's been in that same community 9 years and never had a complaint. Never. Not one time. The manager actually said that one of the residents came into the office and was aggressive with the ladies, and Hector stayed to protect them and make sure that he left so nothing would happen to them. But suddenly he's a danger to the community.
He was mowing one of the detectives' lawns.
Yes, yes. And the best part is they have sex offenders that live in their communities.
Well, yes, they do, because now that you're at 1 million people, they're everywhere.
Well, yeah. But the thing of it is here, in Miami, you can't be near a school, a bus stop, a playground, and you tell me where you're not going to come across something like that. So the sex offenders are forced to live in tents under a bridge. So you tell me how that's helping, because ultimately it doesn't even make sense.
No, it doesn't, because if you want to find a dangerous sex offender, put them in a tent under a bridge.
There you go. There you go. That's helpful.
That's how you're gonna. Yeah, I know. And listen, I get. I we're gonna wrap this up, and I know that
Okay.
it's there's a lot of anxiety about talking about this stuff, so it really kind of sucks. So I'm sorry about
Yes.
that. But at the same time, I had one of my other interviews is Janessa. I encourage. I'll share the link to the site and stuff. And again, this is Registered America podcast. But she
Okay.
said she felt so much better after the interview, even just for a few moments. That's actually one of the really unfortunate truths about all this is that the reality of being registered uh completely alters the landscape of what I say I wish I had normal people problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Normal people like worrying about, oh god, which golf club am I going to use, which boat are we going to go out on.
Yes,
Normal
absolutely.
people problems. Wow, what a dream.
But it is a relief to actually speak to somebody that understands and has the empathy and the compassion and knows that just because you're on the registry, you're not an animal and you haven't touched a toddler, that you are human and that it is not always what it seems. So yes, it does make me feel better to speak to somebody that actually understands.
Yeah. Well, I hope some people that listen to this can try to wrap their head around what we're trying to wrap our heads around. Because in one way or
Yes.
another, we're kind of all in this together. And especially when Anne says, it echoes in my mind. She says, the registry is coming for your kids.
Yes, it is coming for your kids. And that's the sad part is that once they're on it, it's going to be on it forever. We knew somebody that was actually, he was considered a predator and he was married to his victim. And they were married for like 40 years.
And it's weird because you always hear like that. There's that Mary Kay Letourneau case and the teacher, and they like to say, well, it can't be good. It's got to be terrible. Well, actually, it might be just fine. How do we know? We have no
Yeah.
context. We don't
No,
know.
no, no. And they always make it seem so much more grave in the news than what it is because they want people to be scared. They want people to want the registry, and it's asinine.
And I'll end with this. It's the vigilante groups. I think they're usually young people. I can't wrap my
Yes.
head around what are they doing.
No, I can't. I told Hector I was actually a little scared when we read the comments on Facebook, and I contacted Facebook, and Facebook's solution was to not look at the page. That was their solution, but yet they're supposed to protect people.
Facebook
But
said,
that,
"Don't look at the page."
yes, Facebook said, do not look
Hang
at the
on, we got to drop
page.
out here. Well, we're gonna recover.
Okay.
Stay with me. 1, 2, 3. Okay, say that again.
Yes,
Yeah.
Facebook said not to look at the page, that they could block the page from our view, but they were not taking it down. That it was okay, the comments were okay, and just not, they could block it from our view. That was it. There was no help, nothing. They don't care.
That makes no sense at all.
No, absolutely none. And then as long as you're on the internet, you can bully and say whatever you want. Just don't look at the page if it's regarding you. Just don't look.
And it's interesting.
But yes, if you used a racial term, because my husband is Hispanic, so we
Yes,
joke,
right.
and they were going to close our account because we were joking. But that's another story.
Yeah, I know, and so that and it you make me think because hate crimes. I can't figure out the benchmark for hate crimes anymore, or
No.
like cyberbullying because like you'll hear first lady goes against cyberbullying. How is this not cyberbullying?
Yes, this is absolutely cyberbullying. And the thing of it is let's say after all of this, he snapped and he went out and did something stupid. They're going to absolutely blow it up and be like, see, the evil sex offender. They are not going to tell you the fact that they ground the man into dirt before it happened.
And that is one of the strange things, is that, are they so unhappy that it's possible for all these folks like us to rehabilitate? Does that piss them off?
But isn't that what we're supposed to do? Isn't that the purpose of prison? But no, now it's private and it's just a moneymaker.
We as a society, we do not want people to actually rehabilitate.
No, we don't. We need villains. We need bad guys. And of course, and that's the thing. I thought that that's what prison was for, that somebody made a mistake. You put them in prison, they learned, and they came out and were supposed to be better. You're supposed to, leave the world better than you found it. And he's doing that, but yet it's not good enough.
Only if you're famous and have political connections. It's otherwise, if you're a normal person, it's never good enough. It's never gonna be good enough. But it is interesting that podcasts have found to be a way for people to learn about other things. So hopefully, by the grace of God, one person listens to this and says, God, I didn't understand that.
Yes, and that's was my whole point. If doing this podcast would help one person to understand or to not go through what we have gone through, then it was worth it.
Danetta, I appreciate your time. You've been listening to Registered America Podcast. Thanks so much. Please join me on the next one.